Hey,
Hey, how are you?
yeah.
We'll give folks just a minute before we get started. Give them a couple minutes. So maybe at 9:03 or 03 after, 04 after, I'll get us started.
There you go.
Are we ready to get started?
Yeah, let's get started. Uh, Please sign into the doc if you haven't already. Uh, New faces. I don't know if I've met everyone here. If you want to introduce yourself, but maybe you introduce yourself in a meeting I wasn't here. So feel free to not introduce yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Hemant. I'm part of serverless team in Google. Yeah, so we leverage build packs to build the containers, serverless containers, and all the stuff. Yeah.
Welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Welcome. All right, let's check open RFCs. And please make sure to add stuff to the agenda if you're in the doc and you want to discuss something. There are no open RFCs. There's nothing tagged as ready for review. And there's nothing currently open in voting. So we're clear on RFCs. There is an RFC linked here. Let's open that one as the next agenda item. Launcher decoupling. Okay, nice. I haven't seen this one, but do you want us talk us through this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. Like this is basically a proposal to like decouple launcher from lifecycle. And so what we are proposing is uh, so our current processes like from the customer source code, we execute it through our build packs through a builder and create a final application image that is built on a run image. Now, we do provide automatic base image updates of the run image. With the recent CVs that we saw in the launcher, and we had to update a lot of times. like customers had to rebuild all their applications every time we roll out a new lifecycle version. So what we are proposing is like instead of having launcher in the lifecycle, uh, have the launcher binary in the run image itself, so that if there is a new patch available for launcher, we just update in the run image and do an automatic basically update of the run image for the customer, so that they don't need to redeploy. That's a high level view of the proposal.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I know there's been some similar questions in the past for like, rebasing the life cycle as well, right? So instead of actually, putting it on the run image, have it just like a base layer would be rebased, but we don't have that currently either. You can kind of maybe hack it up, but yeah. And I noticed in your comments here, you were saying you don't use rebase today explicitly.
Yeah, we don't use pack rebase. So currently, like we build it through lifecycle directly, and we have our own mechanism of some using some base image annotations to swap customers run image with the newly available run image. So yeah.
That's interesting. Could you comment on why you take that approach rather than the rebase?
Sorry, what?
So I'm just interested in why you're taking an approach that's different from rebase. Not that I'm not trying to sell rebase or anything like that. I'm just interested in other approaches.
Yeah, like basically, it's like we have our own storage structure where we have the entire customer source code in stored in a way of file system. So basically in sort of layers, and when we start a new clone on like whenever we start a new service, so instead of pulling all those layers, we have some like basically like annotation, like whether these are the user provided layers or whether these are our own layers, and we just swap our own layers on the fly. So it's kind of like high level, like
Yeah.
how we go through this.
Heroku does the same thing for our CNB integration. We actually only store the build pack provided layers in our like user storage mechanism, and then our base layers, are distributed a different way. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that.
But that basically means Daniel's suggestion isn't really useful for you. Like he's talking about doing something in rebase that would also do lifecycle. So since you're not using that,
Hmm.
that wouldn't work, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
One comment I had, so basically, so we have a life cycle injected in a builder, and let's say that points to some version, and uh, the creator and the exporter phase, or like whatever the binary that we have in the root life cycle, it creates an app image. Now, the app image that is built with a particular version of life cycle, and if we say we go with this proposal, and if we have a launcher in the image that is basically from some other life cycle version, will there be some compatibility issues due to this?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure, but like they are bundled together today. So there's almost certainly some, you know, uh, sharp edges there that we haven't really thought of because the life cycle is part of the user base layers basically, right? So yeah, it's probably mostly okay, but obviously you can't go from a launcher. Like launcher does occasionally have breaking changes or non or forward looking features and with different defaults, and so behavior may change even if it's like functionally correct on like the CLI arguments. So I believe that this is probably you know it's probably safe most of the time, but like it's definitely a new maintenance hiccup to think about. Like if we adopt this, we're gonna have to have much stronger guarantees on minor versions or patch versions being completely identical in behavior. We have a lot of those guarantees already with the platform API version, so that helps quite a bit. um, so I'm not like very worried about it, but it's new.
Yeah. The other thing is like I don't know how like patch makes sense, right? But I don't know how long we're committed to maintaining a minor version. So like you might end up in a situation, and maybe this is fine, where like you're on an LTS base image and there's, it's just because of some vulnerability in Golang or something, it's time to update launcher, and it's got to go to a minor version, and there's going to be a build required. But like, I expect the cadence of that is like yearly. So maybe it doesn't, maybe it's still a significant improvement for you. I mean, it makes sense. I think we're just calling out some of the, trade-offs or concerns, but
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I know there was some experimentation earlier about changing lifecycle to be Rust instead of Go to help some of these uh scanning stuff just not be as much of a problem, just because the Go scanning, it always bumps on every standard library thing that ever could exist without necessarily checking to see whether it's actually a problem. And so part of me wants to introduce just a different launcher to sort of sidestep the need to update all the time based off of scanning, that isn't actually relevant. Like it's, most of the stuff that Lifecycle gets hit with is because of the stuff that happens during the build or because of Docker daemon build stuff, not the launcher. And so if it was its own project with very minimal uh, library usage, then it would probably almost never have patches, besides just Go bumps, which are annoying enough that I would probably choose like Rust or something to do the launcher again. And I know Terrence, he's not here, but he's done some of this before and experimented with it, and it's probably a lot easier to get a compatible lifecycle in Rust now than it used to be.
no scope creep at all there. Why'd you say it's easier now? What was the?
Just velocity and like being able to generate a bunch of tests to hit the edge cases to kind
Yeah.
of you know sure up your test
Oh, you mean
harness
now that we
quicker.
have AI? That's basically what you're
Yes,
saying. Got it.
yes, yeah, yeah.
But
It's just
don't
easier
disagree. Yeah.
to do that. Yeah, yeah. I don't know that it would be any more accurate than Terrence's initial attempt at it, but it would definitely be able to generate a bunch of test cases for us to build some confidence.
I mean, that is an interesting alternative. I mean, how confident? I guess I follow your logic, but I don't really know. I don't have any level of confidence that like you still wouldn't need updates. Like, is it
Yeah,
is the launcher really that like stable in general? Like, is
it
really all that
is.
it's getting up? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's very stable, and so I think
Hmm.
even being its own Go project, it would probably, if you could strip the metadata out, so people didn't actually know it was a particular Go version, then I don't think there's the surface areas is so small that I just don't think it would be a problem. But yeah, so I think, but instead of doing that, using something like Rust would probably be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do some thinking on this, but I don't mind having a flag here, but it does mean that these images cannot run on other base images. So there's some things like just because you're building it for your base image doesn't like pack gives the ability for people to choose a different run image, and and you can rebase onto different images and force them. And so now we have to potentially think about, do we have to now inject lifecycle if someone does a pack rebase on something that doesn't have a launcher layer? Like, do we now need to guard against not having a launcher layer in the source image and then bring one in when we do a rebase? Like, there are some other things that I think we're going to have to think about when we look at this RFC.
Yeah, that's a good catch. That makes
We're
sense.
diverging the artifacts that we produce, which I don't love. Is there um is there a reason you don't have like an overlay layer on your containers you're running to just do the lifecycle yourself? Because it's one file that has a bunch of symlinks to it in the resulting image. And we've talked about doing something similar as well. Like we we could just replace lifecycle in the images ourselves, like kind of have a a map of like, oh, lifecycle 0.20.1, here's its latest patch version, and kind of use it like a loose version, map of kind of like doing a major version of something, and then you just pull the latest minor into runtime.
You are suggesting like having lifecycle also as a different layer instead of the one bundled with builder, is it?
Yeah, it already has its own layer. And
Yeah.
so I was thinking like, right now you kind of have the base layers and then the user layers, which includes lifecycle.
Mm.
You could also have another layer on top of that that is your like lifecycle overlay patch layer. Not in the image itself, but at your like runtime. I'm just asking because you already don't ship the base images layers with all of your customer images, it sounds like, right? Like those are on your storage layer or on your runtime layer somewhere.
Yeah, that we can do, but like with that also the launcher that will be installed in the app image, uh, that won't get replaced, right? It still will be there, and the CVs will persist, right? Even though we add a new layer with the updated
I see. It's
launcher.
about scanning the user like artifact. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if there's any other questions here. I'm gonna have to read through it and do some comments. I didn't see it come through, uh, but I'm sure others will need to do the same. Anything else in particular you want to point out about it before we close this agenda item?
Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah.
Thanks so much for this. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this. It looks good.
There's nothing else on the agenda, but people are hovering on the next line. So just a last call for any agenda items. All right. Well, let's give everyone some time back. Thanks so much. Talk to you all later.
Thanks all. Bye.
Thanks, folks.